Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? I wanted to do a little video on a card that a lot of people have difficulty with. It's discussed a lot in some of the tarot groups that I'm a part of. People have a hard time with it and kind of don't really understand what it's about. And the card that I'm referring to is the Seven of Swords. This guy, no, I don't know how that will come out because I have to have the video with the camera facing this way. So it's one of my favorite cards, and it's a card that really has a lot more going on than what people realize. And so some of the key words that deal with it are hidden, subterfuge, action, planning, strategy, mental testing, gathering information, deception, and cunning. And I'm going to sort of theorize why I think people have a hard time with the card. One thing I did is, I pulled out all the Seven of Swords in different decks and sort of compared them and see which ones, what similarities they have and what things they don't. One of the things they have is somebody's leaving with a bunch of swords. So one thing about the card is it says, break in, grab whatever you can carry and get out. Never make yourself unavailable for an opportunity. So when a querent asks some questions, it's something to think about if this is relevant. It's always going to be relevant to the cards that are surrounding it. There are times in life where you have to lie, that you have to take. I'm certainly not saying to play fast and loose with your morals, but what I am saying is that there are times that what's being done serves a higher good. You could be, sparing somebody's feelings. You could be hiding somebody. One of the things that comes to mind is an old story of this guy that goes to hell, and he's in hell and he sees this Indian saint, and he goes, "Oh, what are you doing here? You were pious and you never lied." And he goes, "Well, I was in my cave and a man ran in and asked me to hide him, and I hid him. And because people are after me, please help me." He goes, "Okay." And he hides him in the cave. And a couple minutes goes by, and some people show up. These bandits show up. He goes, "Where is this? We're looking for this guy." And the saint goes, "Oh, he's in here." And that's why he was sent to hell. So there are times where you have to lie, where some deception is required. It isn't just that there is deception necessarily that you have to do. I mean, there could be some stuff that's going on around you. And again, it's going to be framed with the cards around it. But I want sort of a new sort of thinking with the card. In this card, we have a person. It's an omnidirectional card. So in a reading, if time is a factor in the reading, say so many months or whatever, this is a card that really shows a lot of this omnidirectional card. So this is a card where he's looking over his left shoulder. He's walking off, he's looking over his left shoulder to the right, and he's walking off to the left, and he is dealing with the numbness because this is a person who is carrying 5 heavy swords, may I say, quite elegantly. with his hands by the blades. I think in that case, I mean, carefulness, but there's a certain level of strength that's involved in that when you think about the thief's hands. I want to come back to serving the higher good. You know, there are times where you have to do what's right, and of course, the big ones are when you think of something like people that were hiding the Jews during the Holocaust. You know, the Underground Railroad. Not all laws are just. You know, so there are times where maybe some guerrilla warfare in your life, or some times where you need to be more discreet. This card asks you to do that. It asks you to be cunning. It asks you to plan. It asks you to have strategy. Strategy is a really important key in this card. So we kind of went over, you know, what this character doing wrong, and that is the most important question with this card. What this guy doing wrong? And the reason why people don't like the card, I think, is they seem to identify with the people that are in the tents. And not the thief. So are you identifying with the people in the tents, or are you identifying with the thief? You know, I kind of imagine that in these tents there are these rich oligarchs that have somehow, you know, I've never been one for war, and I've never been one for oppression. And let's face it, to be extraordinarily wealthy, it requires a certain sociopathic behavior and oppression, and not caring for others. So I don't have a great deal of sympathy for those people. So who do you identify with? Is the thief going to get away? I'm very optimistic about this. Let me tell you why. When you look at the card, and let me see if I can get it. The problem, when you look at the card, slowly back away, is we have a guy brazenly in broad daylight carrying these swords, dropping some, just going. So who does that? Well, you know, this is a plan. This is a misdirection. He's broadcasting where he's going. This is a plan. Our thief is going to get away. He's thought about this. He's going to be using misdirection. And he's going to do it in broad daylight. He wants people to see him. He's probably going to change or something. He's probably not acting alone. There's a certain level of courage to this. Sometimes, you know, what has to be done, when something has to be done, how can I explain it? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And there are things that are dangerous and require a lot of courage that could be your very life is at stake, and other people, your family, and so on. But you're doing it because it's serving a better good, a higher good. So something to think about with that card. So he's going to get away. Another thing about the card is when you really look at it, you have to think, you know, what is getting taken and who is getting taken. With the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's very often there's a border at the very bottom of the card. And to me, if you look really closely, it looks like a stage is in the back. And he's just wandering off stage. So who's being tricked? I'm going to leave you with some things to think about. That was one of them. Think about the number 5 and number 2. Funny enough, Crowley recognizes that all the 7s are in the sphere of Venus, which deals with love. And that makes me think about love of the family. So family versus the state. This is for family. So think about those numbers. I hope this helps with the card some, and ask yourself, is what is being done wrong, and who do you identify with, and think about that plan, that strategy that needs to be adopted and implemented. Okay, bye guys.